Thank you for joining me to learn about green corridors in Putnam Valley. I'm Nicole Wooten, Director of Natural Resources with the Hudson Highlands Land Trust. I'm here to tell you about our recently completed Green Corridors plan for the Eastern Hudson Highlands. Green corridors are the lands that wildlife and people need in order to thrive and move across the landscape. The plan identifies natural area connections across Putnam County, including here in Putnam Valley. Protecting these areas is important for wildlife, and they provide many economic, ecological, and social benefits for our human communities as well. Forests help clean our air and absorb carbon. Wetlands absorb floodwaters and help keep drinking water clean. And publicly accessible places meet local recreational needs, including hunting, fishing, or walking in nature. These areas are also a key part of a $5.5 billion tourism industry in the Hudson Valley. The plan lists tools and resources to help you maximize these benefits locally. I'm going to give a brief introduction to the project and our work at Hudson Highlands Land Trust. By the end of the presentation, you'll know a little bit more about the Land Trust, what green corridors are, and how Putnam Valley might take advantage of the opportunities presented in the plan. You can download the plan from the Hudson Highlands Land Trust website at www.hhlt.org. The Hudson Highlands Land Trust is a nonprofit, community-supported organization with its headquarters in Garrison. In the past 33 years, we've directly conserved thousands of acres and facilitated the conservation of many more. As of this presentation, we hold 3 preserves that are open to the public in the towns of Phillipstown and Putnam Valley, including Granite Mountain Preserve. Our staff are dedicated to work with landowners who want to protect land and to work with towns to protect natural resources, whenever possible, connecting people with nature. This is a map of the Highlands region in New York where we work. The Highlands east of the Hudson River cover all of Putnam County, as well as a little bit of Dutchess and Westchester, and then continues into Connecticut. The Highlands region is a federally recognized ecoregion of great importance, and our part of it has many significant natural area features, including large forested areas, rare plant and animal species, regionally important wildlife corridors, and regionally important recreational corridors. In 2021, the Open Space Institute completed a trail connectivity plan for the Highlands region west of the Hudson that highlights the opportunity to currently protect and enhance the landscape. It works towards the creation of a connected regional trail network that will provide recreational opportunities for residents as well as visitors, protect critical wildlife habitat, and safeguard local watersheds. This Green Corridors plan complements that effort on the east side of the New York Highlands. Hudson Highlands Land Trust and our New York Highlands project partners created the Green Corridors plan to identify links between existing conserved lands in the Eastern Hudson Highlands. The project was funded in part by a grant from the New York State Environmental Protection Fund through the Hudson River Estuary Program of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. The plan's maps are being used by the Hudson Highlands Land Trust and conservation partners in our New York Highlands network to inform land protection priorities. Municipalities have a vital role to play in this regional effort too. We're pleased to work with Phillipstown and Putnam Valley to incorporate local priorities into the plan. We wanted to identify forest, marsh, and meadow connections across the Highlands because wildlife are at risk now. A 2019 UN report said that globally, 1 million animal and plant species are threatened with extinction, many within decades. Across North America, more than 3 billion birds have been lost since 1970. And insects like butterflies, which are at the core of our ecosystem, are declining even faster than birds. Conservation is part of the solution, but we need to first identify what lands need help the most. People also need to move. A connected, walkable community with green corridors in the form of linear parks can benefit both wildlife and people. Helping people move on the land can help us reach climate change mitigation goals and keep us healthy. To identify green corridors, we pulled together different pieces of information to create a plan for connecting our landscape. Those pieces included what we know about wildlife habitat needs, an analysis of movement of some sensitive wildlife species, including salamanders, bald eagle, American eel, what we know about community priorities already published in reports, and based on land trust existing relationships, we worked with the towns of Phillipstown and Putnam Valley to include community priorities and input. These different data sources and analyses are shown in a series of maps in the plan, some of which your town can use in local planning and decision-making. The first map is a scientific analysis of the areas that are most important for wildlife movement. It includes new information on wildlife connections that was verified on the ground by scientists. The second map shows conservation priorities of organizations that work in this region. This map is helpful for towns to know where there might be opportunities to work with partners on land protection. The third map includes input from Phillipstown and Putnam Valley. And the final map combines the priorities from the other maps. In addition to the maps, the plan includes resources to help local decision makers, landowners, and local conservation organizations who want to include green corridors in planning and decision making. We had to get creative to get community input on priority connections when we couldn't hold in-person workshops. So we held an online workshop to add local knowledge to other data. And we created a community survey to solicit opinions about conservation and open space and which connections are most important. 82 people who live, work, and/or play in Putnam Valley responded to the survey. The figure on the left shows that more than 90% of the people who responded to the survey are residents. The table on the right shows what people want in newly conserved lands. As with other questions about priority resources, drinking water and wildlife rose to the top. The survey provided an opportunity for people to share comments, and these highlighted the importance of expanding hunting access. Here's a representative quote, which y'all can read. There's more survey information, more results in the Green Corridors Plan appendices, and you can use what you learn about respondents' interests and priorities in your outreach. For example, respondents are very interested to know what Putnam Valley is doing to protect natural resources, and they suggested that the town share that information through social media and local newspapers. The plan has a comprehensive list of tools that can be used to protect green corridors. I've already mentioned land protection, but other tools include land use plans, educational programs that raise awareness of wildlife connections, like pollinator pathways, and amphibian monitoring and road crossing volunteer programs. Putnam Valley is already using many of the land use tools mentioned, including the town's natural resource inventory and its local wetlands law. The plan has an extensive list of funding sources to implement the plan too, which includes over 30 state and federal funding opportunities, as well as over 30 private foundation opportunities. There are also resources for guidance and technical assistance for using the land use and educational tools. Scientific priorities map shown on the right will be the most useful map for Putnam Valley. The green areas show current private and public conservation lands, and the orange to red colors show connections. The darker the orange-red, the more significant that connection may be. These results show that most land conservation opportunities in Putnam Valley enhance connections for wildlife, especially in the eastern Putnam Valley ridgeline area north of the Granite Mountain Preserve, which was a clear protection priority for survey respondents. This analysis builds on the good work that has been done by Putnam Valley over the past 20 years or longer, including the recent natural resources inventory. The maps can be used in future updates of the natural resources inventory or the comprehensive plan, for instance. The Green Corridors Plan has new information about wildlife priorities, as well as dozens of resources that align with many local priorities. So I ask you to consider how Putnam Valley could use the Green Corridors Plan to build on its previous work. Thank you for listening. I encourage you to visit www.hhlt.org and download the plan to learn more about green corridors. Thank you again to the Hudson River Estuary Program for supporting our conservation work in the Hudson Highlands.